distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen.
Go ahead.
Hotel family, my name is Brother Murray. Welcome. No, that's somebody's coming in on Zoom. Welcome to our Zoom audience. Welcome to our live audience. Give yourself a great big hand for coming down to the Mackey's Club, the BK History Club. We meet here every other Wednesday in honor of the great historian, Bill Mackey. We also meet in honor of Amos Wilson, our late great friend, Brother Hassan, may he rest in peace, good man. The greatest attorney at war, Alton Maddox, El-Haj Malik El-Shabazz, the great Louis Ray Rivera, Gil Noble, Minister Khalid, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Ivan Van Sertima, Professor George Simmons. On the Zoom, please mute yourself. People on the Zoom, we can hear the back noise. George Simmons and all the historians' family who gave up fame and fortune to bring history. They could have took the money, but they didn't. We want to keep their lectures alive in honor of Leola Maddox, the United African Movement, and Miss Leola, who had a moderately new and old car, and she drove from Paterson, New Jersey, all the way to the UAM because she believed in bringing people together for the camaraderie of the live lecture. We never want to forget the great work in the historians of the United African Movement and the attorney at war, Alton H. Maddox. We never want to forget, so in honor of the UAM, in honor of the Mackey's group, African Echoes, First World, they bring that history and it's unbelievable. So listen, I got some books, family. These books is for, we're going to bring the camera over to the Amos collection. And these books are to help African World Info Systems with Sababu, because he's continuing the work of Amos on his own, doing the research. Watch the background noise. We have the first one, Blueprint for Black Power. Amos's classic. The second book is Black on Black Violence, the psychodynamics of black self-annihilation in service of white domination. And whether we know it or not, family, we are still dominated by white folks by the stuff we do. The latest, The Psychology of Self-Hatred and Self-Defeat Toward a Reclamation of the African Mind. The next book, Issues of Manhood in Black and White. Awakening the Natural Genius of Black Children. The Falsification of African Consciousness. African-centered consciousness versus the New World Order. And they're in the process of the New World Order as we speak. In Distorted Truths by S.K. Damiano, The Bastardization of African Cosmology. So those books are from African World Info Systems. So Sababu can finish the great work. And let me tell you, he is struggling hard. Everybody mentions Amos, but they just don't know the work, the hard work that Sababu is doing without technology. I mean, it's unbelievable. So I want to give Sababu a great big hand. Everybody mentions Amos, but they don't send Sababu nothing. So we got some books here, family, for you to get, do your reading, do your research, and we have our books. And the first books I'm going to talk about is in honor of Dr. Ben, Black Man of the Nile, and his family. And when you go back into the land of the black, you have these books. Dr. Ben goes into it on how the pyramids was built, the languages, the hieroglyphics. Everything is right here. Everything. If you go back from the people I know that went back to ancient Kemet, Egypt, and they saw how they had these second cataracts, third cataracts, where they built underground, not a mistake, all the writings. The Arabs are trying to change it. And I remember when Anthony Browder at a lecture said, when he went back into the tombs of Cracker-Moon, they had Kentucky Fried Chicken boxes, human feces, in these great temples that we built. So I forgot to mention, in honor of my great friend, Louis Ray Rivera, we have Jazz in Jail. And Louis Ray Rivera, he came to the rescue for the Mackey's group. Brother Hassar, Calvin, all of us, and Louis Ray came down and he would speak. And he would speak for an hour and a half. And Louis Ray, he only lived 4 blocks, and we would pack up, Brother Colvin and all of us. And we had a small group. And we would leave, and he lived 4 blocks away, and he still talked for another hour and a half. And we'd be standing on the corner of Jefferson and Bedford, and he'd still be talking. And then we'd be in front of his house. So in honor of the great Louis Ray, and he come out of Marcy, knew my older brothers and sisters. So Dr. Ben's book, Black Man of the Nile. Can you imagine if Dr. Ben was alive with this technology? He would be tearing them up because they think they know everything with AI and this and that. Okay, so we got some other publications. African slavery in Latin America and the Caribbean. Slavery did not just happen in America. African slavery in Latin America and the Caribbean. So when you start talking about slavery and what happened to us as a people, where they dropped us off in all areas, you bring it in worldwide. So these individuals that's running around going against what black folks in America are talking about with reparations, you don't go against it in America. You should have went against it in your home country, and we could have got together. So stop that nonsense. Don't get over here and start running around about slavery when they dropped us off in all those countries. Forget about it. Queen Nzinga of Angola, warrior queen. And the Portuguese didn't want to negotiate with Queen Nzinga. And the brothers made a table, and she sat on her brothers and negotiated with them. She was a fierce sister. And let me tell you, if every black woman in America reads about Queen Nzinga and saw what kind of warrior she was, these cats wouldn't be disrespecting these women like they do. This is an excellent book. The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. The African continent is so huge, all other continents can fit into Africa. They want to make it seem like it's very small. No. Chancellor Williams gets into all our mistakes we made as a people. Those great dynasties. Those strong warriors, how they was unable to sustain the onslaught of outside invaders that came in, and we taught them. We made a lot of mistakes, and we're making the same mistakes here. And they know how to keep people separated. So, Chancellor Williams, African or American, black identity, political activism in this New York City, 1784 to 1861. I want to thank Trust Graham and the African Echoes family. Family, when you start talking and going against this reparations and understand what we went through in this country in the 1700s, in the 1800s, you would not open up your mouth with the stuff that's coming out now. Stop being paid to do that, because we paid a lot of dues in this country. And the average people have not paid any dues. The African American has paid big dues. without sanctuary. No, you know, they should not even have a debate. They should not even have a study. They should not even have nothing. When you see the pictures, when you see the hangings, when you see what happened in Mississippi, when you see what happened, the hangings, when you see the atrocities put on us in them southern states, in them northern states, when you see the postcards with thousands of Europeans was coming up, and you study having these studies. But when you have studies for other races, you don't do all that. They give them what they give it to them. So they don't have this book without sanctuary. Come on. In honor of Cynthia McKinney, in my opinion, one of the only women that cared about the people of Georgia. How the U.S. creates S-hole countries. And when Donald Trump made that statement, when he was president the first time, that Puerto Rico was an S-hole country, he didn't tell you that it was the same United States that made the country an S-hole country. So I want to thank Cynthia McKinney. Get this book and she'll tell you, when we make a statement, we created the statement that we made. And her other book, When China Sneezes, From the Corona Lockdown to the Global Political Economic Crisis. And Cynthia McKinney gets real deep. And she basically states that in this time, 2025, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, they have finally found a way to take us out of here, and nobody's complaining. They have found a way to get rid of us, and people refuse to connect the dots on what's happening, and it's happening right in front of our faces. Cynthia McKinney said they might have finally came up with something, and nobody's complaining about what's happening. Ayo Kamati, in his blockbuster, Jews Are the Problem, and Jews Are the Problem Too, The Psychology of the Jew. We want to thank Ayo Kamati, War on the Horizon, for these two publications. They are readily available. Israel's secret relationship with apartheid South Africa, and that's where all the diamonds are. So if you ever think that Africans are controlling South Africa with Mbeki and all of them, no. Yadima. Israel. This lady, Whitney Webb, One Nation Under Blackmail, Part 1 and Part 2. And you hear a lot about the Epstein files and this and that and Pizzagate and all this. Well, let me tell you, this young lady, Whitney Webb, getting her book, and no wonder nobody don't know about it. Volume 1 and Volume 2. Our good friend Barack Hussein Obama, CIA all the way, this is the Manchurian Candidate, the manufacturing of a president, and they thought they was doing a good job, but we got his number. The CIA is searching of Barack Hussein Obama into the White House, Wayne Mansfield, and they got a couple of more books. Everywhere you look, medical marijuana, from the Chinese opium drug wars, to the destroying of the major black communities in the 60s that black folks sprung out. The British, you didn't know that they had Chinese dope dens on Chinatown. See, they only talk about us getting high, but they don't tell you about how the British got the Chinese, and the Chinese was killing each other. Get the British-Chinese opium drug wars, and you see they did the same thing, but they never bring that up. They talk about what happened to black folk. We are always the cannon fighter for all this nonsense. But this medical marijuana is legal under the Democratic Party. Under the Democratic Party. It's legal, you can't even stop it. It's one of the disgusting moves that they did. Tyreen Wright. Booker T. Washington was a bad dude. In this book, The Making of a Pan-Africanist, we want to thank Tyreen Wright. Everybody talk about the Bloods and the Crips and all these gangs they got out now. Well, let me tell you something, family. If you want to know the history of the 5 Points, one of the largest ghettos in the United States, where City Hall sits, where the creation of New York City, the Great Experiment, 400 to 500 roving gangs around that area. Get this book, Herbert Aberle, The Gangs of New York, and you will see what was happening in the notorious 5 Points where we walk through every day. Going up to Chambers Street, going up to San Juan Hill, the Tenderloin District, Central Park, Seneca Village, gangs. The Crips and the Bloods ain't got nothing on them Irish gangs. The Bowery Boys that they made the Saturday cartoon about, Saturday morning movie, they were the most vicious gang in Manhattan. Get this book, The Gangs of New York, and understand about gangs in the making of New York City. Empire of Their Own, How the Jews Invented Hollywood. How the Jews invented Hollywood. How black exploitation movies brought Hollywood out of the red. How the major studios were run by Louis B. Mayer, Samuel Goldwyn, Zukov, and how they created images that was not true. It's a creation. And the government allowed them to continue because it was basically used first as a spy network. They have degraded us from the movie Birth of a Nation. And even now, it's nothing positive. They just take our image and destroy it. And then take their image and make it all good. Get this book, How the Jews Invented Hollywood by Neil Gerbler. And anybody that's getting into entertainment, the music business, should get this book. And they still control it today. The Synagogues of Satan, The Secret History of Jewish World Domination. And it's happening right now. This guy, Alfred Hitchcock, Andrew Hitchcock, George Soros, the man behind the curtain, the secret network of George Soros, and one of the greatest investors, George Soros. And you hear about him all the time. Get the books and read about this guy. And oh, y'all just did that march, that phony baloney King's March. You was following the real king. His name is King George. Read the books and find out about old King George. Dr. Scott Whitaker, our good friend out of Decatur, Georgia. The Causes and Solution and Disease of Malnutrition and the Medical Sins that are killing the world. This book is readily available at Maggie's Group, and you can get it online. It's called Medicine. And you can call Dr. Scott Whitaker, and he will give you, he's bad. This book is unbelievable. It tells you about the plant-based phenomenon and the politics behind it. So Dr. Scott Whitaker is doing an excellent job. Give this book you should have. Thank you, Dr. Scott. Okay, the real Anthony Fauci. This stuff is not going away. Find out what kind of capitalism on the ventilator, what they did during the CO-19 with the ventilators. Capitalism. And you even got one of the guys trying to run for public office now. The cancer industry, crimes, conspiracy, and the death of my mother. This guy, Mark Sloan, wrote a book on what happened to his mother. Excellent. Children's Health Defense, their medical pharmaceutical killer machine. Certain facts that can save your life. It's just that certain facts that we gotta know as a people when we go to the doctor, and a lot of us don't know, including myself. But I'm trying to learn. So I want to thank Robert Kennedy. Dr. Colleen Herbert, neither safe nor effective. The evidence against the CO vaccines. The Wuhan cover-up. Down the CO rabbit hole. Ladies and gentlemen, Moderna, they refused to bring out the Moderna files, but they brought out the Pfizer papers, forced them through the Freedom of Information Act. Pfizer did not want to give up this information. The public has a right to know, and this is called the Pfizer papers. They wanted to hold this information back for 75 years, but we're still pushing for Moderna to come out with the Moderna papers, and it was out in some kind of way. They stopped it. I never thought that Steve Bezos and Amazon would stop this publication, and they're not selling it. I want to find out why, but at least you got the Pfizer papers, and you can see what happens to your blood. You can see what happens on our loved ones that got taken out of here, and you can see what happens with what happens, and they have the pictures, the diagrams, and it's a big book. The Ultimate Vaccine Timeline, the fact-packed history of vaccines and their makers. So this book goes into the pharmaceutical giants, the big dogs in the industry, the ones that buy politicians. They have special interest people that come with suitcases and buying people, and if you had looked at the congressional hearings, you will have saw all the people that get paid by Big Pharma. The congressional hearings. So this is the timeline of all vaccines that happen. They even go into the 1700s. They even go into the 1800s on the history of vaccines. Excellent book. In every name, in every pharmaceutical company, even up to right now. So I want to thank Children's Health Defense and Robert Kennedy for bringing up the books, and it's up to us to read and study and understand. Edward Downs, sudden death, 20, 21, 22, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and how these young football players, soccer players. A soccer player can run up and down the court, all up and down the court like it's crazy and never stop kicking the ball. And all of a sudden he drops dead, he collapses. Strong football players, young kids in the prime of their life, the pitches where they're on the football field, dropping. Youngsters, I mean, and they want to know why. The insurance companies want to know why. The charts. Edward Downs did an excellent job. All these youngsters, young people, and nobody seems to care. Nobody seems to care. They want to brush this under the rug. The books are there. Edward Downs was an analyst for BlackRock, one of the largest investment. BlackRock controls everybody. BlackRock controls everybody, your pensions. Everything's controlled by BlackRock, State Street. They control us all. Ladies and gentlemen, so these are some community programs you can get into. I'm going to run them down. The first one is our Thorough Black Talk family with Tad, Keisha, Ashe, Sister Brooke, Sister Mama, Sister Marcia. Thorough Black Talk, that comes on every Thursday on YouTube, on Facebook. Tad, Keisha, Brother Black, Sister Brooke, they getting into the reparations. They tell you how to trace your family back, the lineage. Oh man, they going into it. And they got people actually going against them on the reparations, the Freedmen's Bureau. You got people going against it that ain't even from America. Ain't paying no dues. And they going against these folks. Ain't been here 2 minutes. Didn't go for reparations in the motherland. So how do you come to America with that nonsense and going against the people that guy had their head busted? Dogs bit them. In Rhodesia, when you didn't come up with the rubber for the Goodyear tires, when you didn't come up with the gold, and all they did to us in Africa, and you're not going against reparations there, then you're going to come to America with this crap? You got to be out your mind. If you didn't come up with the rubber, Cecil Rhodes, where we get the degree, Rhodes Scholar, off your arms. And Firestone said you can make all the cars you want. Detroit, you can roll them off of the assembly line as much as you want, but ain't a goddamn car gonna go on the road unless you got the tires. So Goodyear, Firestone, Michelin, all come out of Africa. And they cut your arm off if you didn't come up with the right amount of rubber from the rubber trees. God did not put us in the richest continent in the world for us to be acting the way we acting. Thorough Black Talk gets into that. Blog Talk Radio with Sister Empress Chi, our Philadelphia connection. They come on. They come on during the week. They always got to contact the Million Women's March with Sister Empress. Saturday at 10:30, Blog Talk Radio. They got the number. And you can get in on the conversation with Brother Lumumba, El Pollinator. PM, 10 p.m., Saturday night, where everybody's shaking their behind. You up here getting some knowledge. El Pollinator, Brother Moses, Sister Empress, we get into it. Sometimes we don't agree. But the best show in the world, Ayo Kamati, Sankofa Revolutionary Radio. And Ayo Kamati comes on, and he has the blockbuster, Jews Are the Problem and the Psychology of the Jew. He comes on Sankofa Revolutionary Radio with Brother Anthony Mohammed, WSYP 95.1. From 9 to 10, let me tell you family, Dr. Haru with Health Secrets. Dr. Haru is excellent. He comes on from 9 to 10, and you can call into his program and the products. And then from 10 to 11, Ayo Kamati comes in. Herbal Results with Dr. Haru, and then Ayo Kamati every Monday. 9 o'clock a.m. And then they actually rebroadcast it later. But you have to listen to Dr. Haru and you have to listen to Brother Ayo. And Anthony Mohammed. Our Baltimore connection, Brother Darren Muhammad, State of the City. It's a toss-up how he comes on in the weekend, sometime Wednesday, sometime Thursday. But the Saturday program at 12 o'clock is excellent. The Saturday program at 12 o'clock is unbelievable, and that's State of the City, Baltimore, and Mohammed the Canon, and he comes on Facebook. Also, every Tuesday, Dr. Aleem, 7 o'clock, your Numi Project, Dr. Aleem comes on at 7 o'clock on Zoom, and he's coming up with some excellent stuff on Kalfani Radio. Every Friday, the African Echoes group with Brother Trust Graham and Brother True and the gang out of Newark. They have the African Echo Study Group from 8 to 10, and they're going over the psychology of self-defeat, reclamation of the African mind, and then Saturday, the Know Thyself Study Group out of Asbury Park. Brother True and Brother Trust is the moderator of that group, and they're getting into the destruction of black civilization and the mistakes we made as a people. So we want to thank African Echoes and Know Thyself. That's the Saturday doubleheader. Simultap with Dr. McIntosh and the war against Netflix, Hollywood just destroy our images no matter what. So we're going against Netflix for the recreation of that Good Times cartoon they put out with Steph Curry. And let me explain something to you. All the other people that portray them characters that disrespect us are black because they're portraying black characters. So they're the words in the cartoon. So if you're going to Good Times on Netflix, and if you think you're going to feel good after them just disgusting the program, you tell me about it. So we want to thank the Simultap organization, and they have some meetings coming up. The UNIA, Raymond Dugal and Michael Douglas, they're trying to reprogram us, trying to reprogram me too. So they have The Rock. The Rock is a store out in Queens. It's a Baby Jetros. It's on Merrick Boulevard. So the UNIA are steady trying to get it together to reprogram us. And they're doing a good job, one at a time. So we want to thank the UNIA. And if you ever go out to The Rock, that store is on Merrick Boulevard. It's right next to the Home Depot on Merrick Boulevard. It's a Baby Jetros. They have everything in there. So we want to thank the UNIA for trying to bring us back to where we was. So, Dr. Lewis. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are just some community events for the people to get into. If you want to know what's going on in the Sahel region, this is part 13. All our lectures is on YouTube, BK History Club. You go in, you come back. So we're going to bring you, we're running a little late, but we're going to bring you our keynote speaker, who's always been a good friend for the Mackey's group, BK History Club. We're going to give him 5 more minutes. So ladies and gentlemen, he's having a little coffee. But ladies and gentlemen, these books, there's a lot of things happening anyway now. Big mayor race coming down. All these unknown people, Soros, the shutdown. Yeah, it's a good time to be alive. Good time to study all this stuff. A good time to give people fear tactics, to make them think everything is going crazy. But it's just the way it's supposed to be. So don't get scared. I love what's happening. Pfizer Papers is one of the best books out. So, you ever come down? We're going to keep, Dr. Munderson is going to come down. We have a few other people coming down. We missed the class last week, but we're going to still keep the BK History Club going because we believe in bringing people together and still having the Zoom so you could come in. If it's far, you can still log on, but it's nothing like coming down and talking to the historian, you know. So the Sahel region and what's going on in Africa is a big move, but you got to remember, it's going to take some time. But Dr. Lewis has part 13 coming down on the atrocities of America. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Dr. Lewis is going to speak for 2 hours, hour and a half tops, because he's late. And then it'll always be part 2. Give a great big hand to our keynote speaker, Dr. Arthur Lewis.
Give me a minute, baby.
And so you make sure you don't spend your money wisely through the holidays if that's what you participate in. But get ready on all the stuff that's happening.
Okay. Good evening, African community here in Brooklyn, New York, United States, Africa, and globally. I just want to extend my appreciation to Marcus to the Three, Ray, his family, and his crew to maintain and make sure that the lecture series are produced, they go on time, and that they're added to the literature online and others, so that any individual who is interested in expanding their knowledge. And I am appreciative that I've been given the opportunity, like others, to come to speak to you. Each of us as speakers have different topics that they feel important to share with the community. And so what we're going to do here is the presentation has 4 components to it. And the components are written material. There's a written material sheet here. And in it, there are going to be 4 topics. Topic 1 is going to be the zombie companies. The talk today is centered around the economic structure of the United States of America, to give you a snapshot of how the country runs when it comes down to distribution of the wealth. It deals with who runs the country and how wealth is distributed. So I chose 4 topics. And the reason I chose these 4 topics was because it's an illustration to show a snapshot of how the business, the big business of the United States is structured, in opposition to how the average worker, when I say the average worker, I'm going to cut it at 95% of the population of the United States is in the classification they call middle class, low class. 5% of the population of this country is classified as the rich. For some reason, you have, they say, 360 or 70 million human beings living in the United States. And of that 360 or 70 million, someone has classified the top 5% as rich, wealthy, and someone has classified the 95% as workers, the foundation of the country. So I just wanted to make 4 topics. One of the topics is called a zombie company. The second topic we're going to deal with is quantitative easing. These are terms that have come up in the definition of whoever makes these definitions to name and to describe certain corporations in the United States. So we're going to deal with the zombie company, quantitative easing. We're going to also deal with the 4th topic, the MAGA, M-A-G-A movement. Make America Great Again. And then the last of the 4th and last of the 4 topics is going to be dealing with what they call Project 2025. So the question is, why did I decide to take these 4 topics? Because they're all interconnected. The zombie corporation or company, you will learn how certain corporations function in the United States, but they financially are not able to function, but are given aid to keep themselves functioning, as opposed to the average worker in the United States, who, if in their economic life, if they're not able to maintain their economic standing, you go bankrupt. You go in the street. You become homeless. But when we learn about the zombie companies, then you realize that these companies are kept functioning by use of the taxpayers' money. Quantitative easing is that system that the people who run this country the last few years made up that term to illustrate how the U.S. taxpayers' money goes to sustain the large corporation and go to sustain the upper 5% of the population of the United States who's supposed to be the wealthiest. The MAGA movement, Make America Great Again, we're dealing with that because it is one of the most common sociological definitions that's functioning in the United States of America, because there's a certain portion of the United States of America who states that America is not great. It used to be a great country, but it's not great anymore. So it has to be Make America Great Again. And then we will examine who feels like this and why it is that it's important to understand. In the last section, we're going to deal with Project 2025, which is a project that has been produced by a certain group of corporations as it relates to how they want to restructure the United States. Okay. But I want to preface the 4 subjects. We're going to read it for those who are here to follow, and as I indicate, because many of my presentations are written, we have to read it for the audience, for those who can hear it and who want to be able to follow it. I just made a few notes to keep us in reality. And because we live in the United States, each of those subjects are dealing specifically with the United States. So to keep us in reality, the information that I'm presenting in these 4 areas, 1 is information. 2, it's in the public domain. So anyone has access to the information that I'm presenting for check. Number 3, I'm making no alterations from what is presented to the public. That's why I took down photocopy of exactly what is presented to the public. So I'm not putting my prejudice in. Number 4, we're going to deal with the zombie companies, quantitative easing, MAGA, and Project 2025. And I added 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 so that we can get an orientation of what country are we talking about? We're talking about the United States of America. These 4 topics. The United States of America, 13 colonies, decided years ago that they wanted to confederate, meaning join together. And what was the 2 reasons why the 13 colonies wanted to confederate to make the United States of America? Same as the Sahel countries in Africa, the 3 of them confederated for their security. So for the United States, the 13 colonies wanted to become one nation, and that one nation they joined together as a political economic unit called the Confederation. For 2 reasons. The Constitution of the United States is based on 2 reasons on why the 13 colonies wanted to confederate. They wanted to join forces to protect themselves from Britain, UK. Britain is the country that came and put these colonies here. So the desire for the 13 colonies to join together in the union or nation was to be able to protect themselves from Great Britain. And what they did, as we mentioned before, we'll review again, they went primarily to France and made an arrangement with France and these 13 colonies to join forces to work against Great Britain and break away. So the primary reason for the Federation was to unify, to fight against or break the control of Britain over the 13 colonies, and it was the French that made it possible. The second reason that they confederation was economics. And the 2 most important economic factors at that time in the United States was agriculture. The 13 colonies confederated, and it was agriculture, tobacco, food, and then later it will be cotton. Agriculture, and what was the mechanism by which the agriculture was made possible that made these colonies rich was there were no tractor trailers, there were no equipment. Africans. So they confederated for the protection against the British and to make a country rich through agriculture, and the only way they could do it was through slavery. So to remind everyone that the United States economy was and still is to a great extent agriculture and slavery. Without enslaving the African, there would have been no country. The Africans built the country. And then we go back to 2 other factors. Stolen land, to remind you that what you call the United States of America, this physical area was stolen from a group of people they call indigenous or Indians. Stolen land and stolen people. That's Africa. So there is no United States without the European exterminating the indigenous people, and there is no fundamental United States without the African force, skilled and unskilled labor to build the country. Very, very important. Why? Because if you go back to some of the billionaires, and I'll use 2 examples. President Donald Trump and the other very rich, I can't think of the name, Bill Gates. You look in the books. And Donald Trump's grandfather came here as a draft dodger from what would be Germany. Donald Trump is 3rd generation. Did his father or any of the Europeans come in at that time? What did they bring to the United States to build it? What did they bring in terms of anything you can contribute? And then when you look up Bill Gates, If I got it correct. The way they say it, he's got Irish, English, German. He came a little before Trump's grandfather. All of these white people who are billionaires and trillionaires, you look back and see what their grandfathers and grandmothers brought here. And they all came out of Europe, rushing from famine,
Persecution, murder.
disease, and non-stop wars. Famine, lack of food, and diseases. That's where your chicken pox, measles, mumps come from in the United States. The indigenous people didn't have it, and the Africans didn't bring it. So when they all asked, when Trump, at his inaugural, say, we built America. He never said who is we in his inaugural site. When you see the whole room is 99% white. Ain't no indigenous people there. Ain't no African people there. They all billionaires and zillionaires. And when you look back, you see which of their grandparents brought anything here. So let's keep the thing straight. In the 13 colonies, the British classified the colonies into 3 areas. He said, we're going to take this land. One group of the 13 colonies was called a royal colony. So that meant that the king and his boys, anything coming off their wood, any wealth, that goes back to the king and my group, my clique. That was called royal colonies. And you can look up which one it was. Then you had another classification of colonies, private. The king says, Penn and a few other, this area we call colony.
William Penn, the insurance.
Yeah, that's right. This area, these 13 colonies, we cut it up into 13. This area that we take it, because up in Canada, the French was stealing, and down in Florida, the Spanish was stealing. They all were stealing from you. The last 300, 400 years, the Europeans left Europe, went around the world, killing millions of people to get the land. That's why Australia is run white now. That's why New Zealand, they killed down the people. The indigenous were killed down in Canada. The indigenous was killed down in what you call United States. The indigenous was killed down in much of South America. They came and they killed. So that has to be part of the mindset thinking when we look back. A third classification of the colonies was called, let me use the word company colonies. So of the 13 colonies, you look it up, these three of the 13, anything coming out goes to the king. Then there was another 3 or 4 to his private people, and there was another one called, let's call it a corporate colony. Those 3 corporate colonies of the 13 was reserved for the small businessmen and the corporate people in Britain. Put your money together, come over, and these 13 colonies, 3 or 4 colonies, we set aside for the small businessmen, called corporate colonies, and that's how the United States runs. The United States and all European countries, their governmental structures are corporations. What runs the United States? This corporation, that corporation, this, which is just basically a grouping of people who are making all of the decisions and gathering all the wealth. Okay, so I'm going to read, take us about half an hour to read through all of this, and then questions and answers. And I'm just going to make a side comment or not. For those who have it, you follow it. The first sheet that is pinned. Now, what is a Zambi company? We were talking about, what is he talking about? We're talking about the corporate business structure of the United States that runs this country. How the corporations run the country, and what who gets your tax dollars? Remember we read before when they did the study to show that Congress gives 95, the study showed that laws passed, city laws, state laws, and federal laws, 90 to 95% of these laws passed by Congress, the state, and the city all favor these corporations. These big corporations you see now, that's the corporate structure they put together. When you go to Africa, Asia, any place where the European has gone, you will find that there's some corporation, the mass of white people getting up, there's some corporation that's exploiting the wealth. And the way they structure the corporation in the United States, only a handful run it and benefit from it. That's why you get 95% of the population is rich. Why you get 5% they call rich, and the 95% working poor. And when you look at all of the billionaires and trillionaires, you're going to see third generation Trumps, fourth generation, the other billionaire slips my mind. Gates. Where these corporations come from? What's the foundation on the wealth? The oil companies, food companies, anything that's exploited is put in the company and they exploit it, and it is these companies that run the United States of America. And the connection between what we're going to read is just to show you illustration where your tax dollars go. A zombie company, we're talking about these corporations now, right? The corporate structure of the United States. The zombie companies is a business that is financially unstable, unable to generate enough profit to cover its debt payment from operations, and relies on external support like government aid or loan to stay afloat. When's the last time you got any aid, any loan to help you? It doesn't work that way. Your tax dollars only go to the big corporations. So you ask, who's giving your money to the corporations? These companies are often characterized by their high debt level, which they cannot repay the principal on, and the low interest coverage ratio, meaning they can only afford to pay the interest on their loan, but not the original debt. They are essentially walking dead. Businesses that are still operating but are on life support. When I was in Benin, they told us and showed us Zambezi. They told us Zambezi means the name of the men who stay up at night to guard the village, or guard the area. So some white person, whoever, zombies, the zombies, you know, they go at night. That's where they get it from. Night people, but that comes from us. In terms of Zambezi are the men who protected the village, and they twisted it to become zombies. Zombie companies are indebted businesses that can only cover operating costs and interest payment on their loan, but not the debt. They also are known as living dead or zombie. There are many of them here. And you're going to find out in about 10 minutes, most of them are zombie companies. When it comes to the definition of they're asking you to start a small business and you to sustain it. For most small businesses, you don't get loans to help you get started or when you get in trouble. They usually ask you, tell you, you want to start your business? Where's your resources? Right. Zombie rely on refinancing maturing debt to survive and may face insolvency if interest rates rise or investors stop financing them. Growth limitation. They lack excess capital. Zombies can't invest in growth. High risk. Zombies are high risk investment in orphan field due to the debt costs or operational exercises. Zombie companies' numbers have increased by 1/3 or more in the last decade in the United States, Canada, UK, Japan, South Korea, and Australia. All white countries, except for Japan and South Korea. There's the Five Eyes, that's Britain, United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. They all came out of Europe, England, killing and murdering. That's why they control so much. Now, another technicality here, zombie companies are those that are technically bankrupt but still operate by borrowing more money to pay off existing debt. Government bailout. Most of these large corporations function with your tax dollar. If you were to look and see why, potentially, let's speculate, why so many people are being laid off in the government, but yet there are certain billionaires that have 20 and 30 contracts. Most of these corporations have contracts with the U.S. government, and the contracts allow them to survive, to become business person, and they shut the money up through them. So that's your zombie companies. And you can look and you can get a list of those companies. Now we're going to go to the second section. Got 3 sections. We've covered 1. Quantitative easing is a monetary policy. This is the United white people who run the country here. This is what they say. I'm only talking to you. Quantitative easing is a monetary policy tool where a central bank, you know what the central bank is? Your tax dollars. The Treasury Department. That's the biggest central bank is the Treasury Department of the United States, where all your taxes go. That's the central bank. And who decides who gets the money? Quantitative easing is a monetary policy tool where a central bank buys government bonds or other assets to inject money directly into the company and the economy, aiming to lower long-term interest rate and stimulate spending and investment. Where can the average small farmer, a businessman, pick up the phone to the Treasury Department and say, look, I'm a little short?
That ain't happening.
And guess what they use as collateral? Now, I'm the owner of a zombie company.
Dr. Lewis, LLC.
Hey, you got it. I need money, I'm broke. For whatever reason, I can't function in the capitalist system. I'm a zombie company. So I pick up the phone to my buddy, my homeboy, Ray, and ask him, I need a loan. Okay. Then I ask you, what capital do you have? My stock and bonds. And I'm saying, no, so how the hell he's going to use his stock and bond as collateral when he's broke? But because you're rare, you white, Anglo-Saxon Jew, whatever the hell you call them, they're all white men. Because we're all in the clique. There's a couple 100 billion trillion in the Treasury where we squeeze everybody in taxes. Okay, I tell you what, I'll give you $200 million loan. Knowing the hell you can't pay it back. And you know what you're going to give me? You're going to give me some of these worthless stock and bonds. You go about your business. That is what quantitative easing is. Billions, you don't have this on there, but I'm going to read billions of dollars. Large corporation goes to private health corporation. Profit, military industrial complex. In other words, 1/3 of your tax dollars go to the military industrial complex to make weapons. That $1 trillion is your tax dollars going to corporations. And without your $1 trillion input on taxes to these corporations, which I will name, they wouldn't be able to function. But guess what? What does Ray Ray do? He takes the 100 million, instead of putting it into business, he puts it into the financial structure in his corporation. And then off of that 100 million, he writes to the chief executive officer, which is you. They put the money in, and they use it and give it back to themselves as what do they call it when you in the business and you get these bonuses and stuff.
The dividend.
So now, this zombie company has money to function. So 1/3 of your tax dollars go to the, and I'll name these companies, military, industrial, to make weapons that are basically no good. 1/3 goes to the medical profession, you know, the doctors and mainly the big corporate owners of these hospitals and everything. 1/3 of your tax dollars go to the big corporations by different means. And that money they put in to the bank, and then they distribute it back to them in stock and bonds and dividends. Trump, others do it. The first time he was in, he okayed a $4 trillion tax break to 200 of the richest families and the largest corporations. So a person asked me, Trump didn't do a damn thing. All, according to the Constitution, all monetary bills for expenditure, like you write a check, all monetary expenditures go first. It starts in the House of Representatives. They put the stuff together, who's going to pay taxes and who's not going to pay taxes. After the House of Representatives make up who's going to get the tax break, it goes to the Senate. The Senate then will play with it, who's going to get the tax break. These 2,000 of the largest, richest family, and all of the corporations, the big one, everybody's going to get it. The tax break on $4 trillion tax break on the richest family and the largest corporation. $4 trillion.
And they're telling you it's a shutdown.
$4 trillion. And that's when and now when he's in, he signed another $4 trillion to say you don't have to pay that back.
And Biden did the same thing?
They all do it, but we're concentrating on Trump and what is common here. Now, why is it that the House of Representative members and the Senate, why would they write a bill to give away all the taxpayers' money to others that, show them? Because the rich corporations go to every one of your congresspersons, every one of your senators, your president, and they give them money for their re-election. Legal. And what did the other paper that we read about, the Congress gives $5 billion to all of the corporations, and the corporations they give them $3 trillion. So Trump didn't give the rich, he signed it. But those Congress people, senators, they didn't make the bill. Who made it was the lawyers and all of these big corporations, lawyers and accountants, they decided who paid the bill. You and me.
That's Jeffries and Sanders and all them bums.
Okay. So, just for you the idea, so that's how it goes. Now, under quantitative easing, I'm going to just quickly give you a quick list that you can pick out for illustration. Who got all these tax breaks? Not only tax break, but Mackey's to the 3 is here. We need money. So we pay somebody to go to the city council and ask the city council to pass a special law where city council will become investors in Mackey's 2 to 3. And in the process of investing Mackey's 2 to 3 city money, $3 million are coming to you. That's the city's investment in Mackey's 2 to 3 is $3 million. That's how. So what you have in this country is fascism, because the rich people write the laws, and that law, which was written by the corporation and the rich, gave a tax break to the biggest corporations. And the textbook says whenever government, and then the big corporations didn't pay everybody to do, whenever government and private industry get together, it's called fascism. This is a fascist government by definition. I didn't say it. Why? Because fascism, somebody defines it, is when the government of a country works hand in hand with the private businesses of that country to run the country. So that's why you say, who makes the domestic and foreign policy of the country? The people whose mouth it comes out is your president in your people's House of Representatives stuff, but it's a corporation that's making the decision.
Pepsi Cola.
That's why okay, let's read the military-industrial complex, then we'll go on to the third one. Quantitative easing. Military-industrial contractors, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics, RTX, Bear System UK, Huntington, Ingree, Indiana, Bear System, Germany, Rheinstoll, Germany, Thal, Britain, Swedish country, Israel country. You get these big corporations.
Did you say Israel?
You get these biggest corporations they lock them and say, look, I want the government of the United States to become partners with my private corporation. So that group of people who run this big business, they get them to write the law so that the U.S. government become part of it. Therefore, they got unlimited U.S. dollars. If I or you came and said, I would like the government of the United States to invest in me or invest in Mackey's 2 to 3, and then I can get somebody to write the law, then all of a sudden Mackey's 2 to 3 will get $3 million every year. And that's how it works. But the masses of people pay the taxes. Corporations, they call subsidies, are direct financial assistance. Tax breaks, the 40 trillion. Federal contracts, goods and services to U.S. government. I wonder how many corporations and businesses who's this big billionaire from South Africa that made all this money off Africa? What's his name? Musk. What's his name?
I call him Muskrat.
Elon Musk.
I call him Muskrat.
I wonder how many of his businesses do business with the United States. It's subsidies. That's how these businesses getting your tax dollars, direct subsidy, direct financial assistance, and pay no taxes. How the hell could you not become rich? And is that why the United States is 300? They say 350 million. What's the population of the United States? They say 350 million people. And they're laying off millions. China has 4 times the population. And they just hired 10 million extra people. How the hell could a country, which is 4 times the people, they still hiring by the billions and they're laying off? Where's the money going? Or wouldn't be the way that chip company is saying that the United States chip company is falling behind Taiwan, falling behind China, falling behind. Why? The government gave these chip factories 50 to 100 billion direct subsidy years ago. And what did they do? Did they invest it in the nice factories?
Nope.
It went right into the bank of that corporation, and they split it among them. That's how you get all your billionaires. They are the recipient who run these large corporations that legally siphon off what the government give them. Ain't nobody going to jail here. Direct financial assistance, tax breaks, federal contracts, equity share, U.S. shareholders, semiconductor. So in other words, if you went to a billionaire and you look and you probably find out that he has about 7 or 8 big corporations, and every one of them corporations are getting it. And that's one of the reasons why $1 trillion of your tax money goes to the military-industrial complex. And then the people who own and run these corporations, they're super billionaires, all sitting at the inauguration there. Subsidies. Which companies, these are the little guys, which companies are getting direct subsidies? You don't have this. I had to put this together before I came. 15. Next, Extra Energy, $3 billion. This is the little guy. Because the big guys, like we just mentioned, Northrop and Boeing stuff, they're getting tens of millions, tens of billions. These are the little guys, the little ones they talk about. All of these corporations are sucking off the United States Treasury. Next, Extra Energy, $3 billion. Venture Global Limited, $3 billion. NRC Energy, $3 billion. Septra Energy, $4 billion. Volkswagen, $4 billion. Texas Instrument, $4 billion. Fox Technology, $5 billion. Chenery Energy, $5.6 billion. Alcoa, $8 billion. Amazon, $6 billion. Microtechnology, $5 billion.
Hey.
General Motors, $7.5 billion. Ford Foundation, $8 billion. Intel, $8 billion. Boeing, $16 billion. And most of that money goes into the bank and then they distribute it to each other legally. A big bonus. Ray Ray's a big guy here. So he needs a $30 million salary every year coming out of your tax dollar. Okay? That's your, most of these companies, by their are zombie. If they weren't stealing out of Africa, and if they weren't getting subsidies, and if they weren't tax evading, then all these guys show up. All the third generation white people show up. How many billionaires are African people? You probably, they keep saying you're 50 billion. No. 50, what is it, we're 50 billion? I mean, the population they say of the United States is 4 billion. No, 4% of the global population. 4%. Half of that is not white. That's us and whoever else is, who they classify as non-white. 2% of the world's population. Sitting in the United States, they're all rich. Trump, everybody's fabulously rich. And we built this, we built that.
And then do nothing.
You call a pistol. You run in the government, you give to who you want. That's how your government. You are a fascist government. You're not a democracy because we don't have direct vote. You're a republic because republic by definition means that you have representatives who vote for you. That's Congress and them. They totally take the money. Okay. We go into the third, which is MAGA, M-A-G-A. We're going to read that. And then
MAGA, the Don.
And then we go into Project 2025, where they got some stuff waiting for you. Just like whoever blew up the World Trade Center. The fire department said when they went in, they heard the explosions going on. Boom, boom. Oh, who they want to blame? Osama bin Laden did it. The firemen said the explosions were going on. Give me a break here. But when that happened, remember, what's this document they put up to knock out the Constitution? They already presented it the next day. They were prepared for it. Patriot Act. And you talk about Hitler. You don't. When you look at government, this is not a democracy. You don't You're a republic because you have representatives. This is a dictatorship. Because a dictator, like the president, when you write an executive order, it becomes law. And you should look up how many executive orders, 5,000 or 6,000 or 7,000. The country runs on executive order. You have a president now who's making up what he wants.
Every day.
And he do whatever he wants.
The Don.
So this is slavery. This is what is it called when there is a king? This is a dictatorship with one person.
You call them shots.
So executive orders, dictation. And the fact that it's been documented that legislators in all branches, they don't write the law. They get paid. So the fact that your representative from the city council to the state to the federal, there was the lady, the elder who used to be the head of the Democratic Party from California.
Maxine.
Not Maxine Waters, it's the female. I can't think of her name. Anyhow, she went in broke, and she's now worth almost.
The lady.
Yeah, you know, I looked up. She's worth almost 200.
The white lady.
Yeah, the white lady looked like she's.
Oh, sure.
Pelosi?
Pelosi, yeah, worth almost 200 million. And what she said is that Congress people have a right to invest like any other person. And she's right. You go, I'm a congressperson.
But they have an inside scoop. They know what.
Pardon me?
They have an inside scoop. It's not fair.
It's not an inside scoop.
And they get paid by those
Okay,
those
so
lobbyists.
let us, Schumer said when the new crew of Congress people came in, what, 2 or 3 cycles ago, and he said to them on TV, he said, I don't know if it was the FBI or the CIA, he said, I think it was the CIA, he said they have 10 to 100 ways of getting you. He's warning them. Take the damn money or you're gone. He said it on TV. They have 6 to 10 ways of getting you. So then Pelosi, this lady, she said, they're all invested. You can't say, look, I want you to vote this way on this bill.
Lobbyists.
No, I'm just saying, I want you to, what am I getting out of it?
That's what the lobbyists
Well, right. What am I getting out? You know that nice villa in the Caribbean, Dominican Republic, or one of them? There's a nice villa,
Yeah.
already developed. It's working.
In Italy.
Vote this way. I said, there's 101 ways. So I remember about 3 or 4 years ago, I looked at a thing and about 20 young Congress people, white and black, quit after 2 sessions. So you know that they got a big chunk. They didn't wait.
Took the money.
They took the money. The money or the bullet. You ain't got no choice. They tell you, well, if Ray don't take it and do what I want, I'm gonna give it to somebody else. They ain't telling you, you're gonna take the damn money or you're not gonna be here tomorrow.
You're gonna take that money.
Now come on, you gotta talk reality here.
Well, those are some good choices, right?
So you know, okay.
You take the money.
So let's deal with MAGA, I'm sorry, MAGA. And this is right out of off the internet word. I'm just reading what they say. I ain't say it was right or wrong, but so you can hear that if it is correct, you can see the conspiracy against you. Why, what's this white author, I can't think of it. It'll come to me.
Howard Zinn?
No, it's, you know, anyhow. He said, white Americans and Europeans are Ice Age hunters with a suit and a beard. When we do the presentation, the World War I and II, the European, 150 million people exited Europe by some numbers from let's take 1850 to 19 25, 75 years, 150 million poured out. They came to U.S., that would be the English and the German and stuff. The Spanish and the Portuguese, because Europe was in war. Because at that time, at the turn of the century, the whole Europe was at war. The main combatant was France against Germany, against Italy, and all other pieces. They've been fighting all of 1800. And it carried over in 1900 with the First World War, the Second. They never stopped fighting. And in the United States is continuing it. Now, okay, so let's get to MAGA. United States Political Movement. You heard of, who was the one they assassinated, Kirk?
Yeah.
I'm not making any statement.
Charles Kirk.
Charles Kirk. I'm not making any statement on Charles Kirk because I don't know enough. I don't want to know. MAGA movement, right out of, I think I got it out of Wiki or one of the other ones. But they're all the same. MAGA movement. Nativists, I guess is supposed to be indigenous. Political movement that emerged in the United States during the 2016 presidential campaign of its putative leader, Donald Trump.
The Don.
Its name is derived from Trump's 2016 campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again," which has been a rallying cry for many Trump supporters ever since. Now, when we go back, you're going to see the same flashes of when the Germans, they had a German Nazi party in this country. You're going to see the same America that Martin Luther King talked about, the same America that Martin Luther King, the same America. Not a damn thing has changed. A variant, now they give me a little history. A variant of Make America Great Again was first popularized by Republican President Ronald Reagan, who used "Let's Make America Great Again" as one of his several slogans in 1980 presidential campaign. Trump reportedly coined the phrase "Make America Great" in November 2012, just after Mitt Romney, the former Republican governor of Massachusetts, lost the 2012 presidential election to Barack Obama. Trump filed an application to trademark the slogan for the purpose of promoting public awareness of political issues and fundraising in the field of politics. We go on. Beliefs, values, and character of MAGA. You can go online, Wiki, and any other number of them and get exactly what I'm reading. I'm not making anything up. And you got any problem, you pick up the phone. The MAGA movement, often referred to simply as MAGA, M-A-G-A, or Make America Great Again, was founded on the belief that the United States was once a great country. Wait now, it's no longer great? If it's no longer great, why is it no longer great? And who made it ungreat? Let's see who they blame. Was once a great country, but has lost its status owing to, here's the blame game now, foreign influence. The United States has been invading countries, every Caribbean country, every Central and South American country. Is calculated the United States intervened 6,000 times since the Monroe Doctrine up to now. 6,000 times in Mexico, the Caribbean island, the Central American, in South America. 6,000 times. And they're talking about foreign influence and made America not great. Okay, I'm just putting little pieces. Both within its borders, foreign influence. Those that are within the borders, who the hell is he talking about? We all immigrants. The only one who's not an immigrant is the indigenous who's left and African, because we were brought here as slaves. We didn't, okay? So now he's blaming. Okay, let's see who the blame game goes. foreign influence, both within its border, all you foreigners within the border, Trump's grandfather said, every white person here is what? A foreigner. Oh, but we're excluding them. Maybe they mean white, I don't know. But what are you talking about? Everybody here don't belong here. But somebody's making it that whoever's writing this. Foreign influence, both within the border, via immigration. Immigrants are coming in. And multiculturalism. Do they include the 100 million Europeans that came from Europe here with nothing? And that's where you get all your chickenpox, measles, mumps vaccination because they were brought here and they had to be fumigated. What are you talking about? That's why I say personally that anytime when I talk to my white friends and stuff, where are you from? Where are you from? Oh, I'm an African American. Let me clarify that. I'm an American because I denote my citizenship. And I'm an African because I recognize that I came from an ancestor, some area within what you call Africa.
Exactly.
But you white people, y'all never say I'm an Irish this and I'm a this and that. They all become American. Nobody's Irish, nobody's German. I'm an American, I'm an American, I'm an American, I'm an American. Okay?
They don't.
So I don't know what immigrants they're talking about. They came from within the border via immigration and multiculturalism. What is multiculturalism? Every group of people who came here brought their culture because culture is only the way you do things.
You live, eat, drink.
And without, parentheses, via globalization or the increased integration of multiple national economies. I don't understand that. Both within its borders via immigration and multiculturalism and without via globalization or increased integration of multiple national economies. You figure that out. MAGA members think that this fall
From grace.
I gotta get something to follow this because I got so many lines here. MAGA members think that this fall from grace can be reversed throughout America first. That's why Trump is giving $40 billion to Argentina to meddle in Argentina's election. That's why how many billions are going to, what's the name of this place, Ukraine. How many billions are going in the Middle East? 30 of the tax dollar is going all its wars. So it says, America first, policies that would provide greater degree of economic protection. Wait now, who outsourced 30 million jobs? White men, or one white man?
The presidents.
Your bankers, your Congress people, and all your corporate leaders, they outsource all of the technology into primarily China because they wanted the cheap labor and the market. So all the basic foundation, the period of time where the greatest wealth for the average working person was between around, after World War II, around 1940, about 1950 to about 1990. Between that period, the white man, the white businessman, the Trumps, they outsourced all the factories and jobs and stuff. That's what brought this country down primarily from being an industrial country to be able to trade down to nothing. What are you talking about? I looked up H-1B visas. H-1B visas are visas that you have to apply as a foreigner to work in the United States. Pardon me?
As a foreigner, doctor, everybody.
Anybody.
H-1 visas.
H-1B visas. You know what I read on one of the things? 790,000. Almost 1 million foreigners are working here in all kinds of jobs. Why is it that you have millions of young Americans, white, black, blue, and green, getting in debt? What kind of national pride? I I didn't say these people foreigners, but if you want to make America great again, why don't you start with these big corporations that has employed 700,000 foreigners are working and making money and living. That's 700,000 white Americans, African Americans, China, all Americans. So you don't give a damn. It's not the foreigner, the corporation and the president and Congress don't give a damn because you now employ 700,000 foreigners while our kids go to school for debt trap. You can be a businessman and have a business and you go out, and a business and you go out. You can start over. But a student, you can't, there's no way to get out of debt. It's a debt trap. And then it's compound interest. So all I'm saying is I'm questioning what, I know in here they're going to eventually get to the point where they put the figure at who. And that was the greatest collapse of the economic structure of white people, because white people have most of the decent jobs.
So in 40 years they sourced out.
So most of the economic collapse between the 1960s and 70s to now is outsourcing. And still American corporations are there, a handful making money and shipping things back. But now you want to blame some ethnic people. People who, what are you talking about? Half the country is not white anymore. That's where they're upset. Which culture are you talking about? America first. Yeah, right. Policies that would provide a greater degree of economic protection, greatly reduce immigration. Who they want to stop? They should start with all foreigners. I don't give a damn what they look like. You're not an American. If you want to be America first, replace the 700,000 and give those jobs to some American. Even if you gave them to all white. America first, but almost 700,000 people you employ. America first. Why is so many of these corporations here? America, they got their headquarters outside so they don't pay taxes. Exactly. Why does the United States have to put together military force to go in to try to overthrow Venezuela so that the oil companies, the diamond companies, the gold company who's been raping Venezuela for the last 100 years, it all goes back to those corporations. That corporation dig that money and put it in their pocket and don't do a damn thing for the country. The roads, everything is out. We want to make it great again. But I'm pretty sure they mentioned this someplace else. The degree of economic protection greatly reduced immigration, particularly from developing countries. Who's in the developing company, Ray? Okay, all the white people coming, they're not development. But all of these people of color that flood in the United States because of the wars that the United States has been doing to their country, they flood here. What about the Africans? What are you talking about? Developing countries and encourage or enforce what MAGA members consider to be traditional American values. They don't understand. Traditional American values is a handful of white people running everything, concentrating the wealth. That's traditional value. Enslaving African people, that's traditional American value. Killing off millions of indigenous people. Is it there? Making a war. How many countries you invade? That's traditional American value.
Exactly. The war for money.
The great reduced immigration from developing and encourage or enforce what MAGA members consider to be traditional American value. Some MAGA support policies such as Trump called in 2015 for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims into the United States would have involved egregious racial or religious, so they push the MAGA. Racism. The blacks did it. The Mexicans did it. They drained down the system. The MAGA doesn't. They better read what they call Project 2025. Among the policies eventually adopted or at least pursued during Trump's first and second, some did indeed entail discriminatory treatment. So they're cracking down on ICE and all of that as a big publicity. See, we're doing something. Jobs are still being gone. H-1B visas are still coming in. Factories are still moving. A lot of companies are leaving the United States because of tariff. A lot of companies are going out because people spend. The people who keep the economy running is the masses, the 70, 80% of us who got a few dollars. The rich don't spend to keep the economy going. In addition to its political stand, MAGA movement is known for its particularly combatant character, which exemplifies the extreme partisanship or of controversy of American politics. In keeping with that stance, controversial rhetoric has flourished. I can misquote something within the movement, including messages that critics see as homophobic, pushing that, sexist or racist, and is inciting violence. I don't see anything yet here about the corporations sending the money, about why 5 and more like 1 or 2% got 80 or 90% of the wealth. The MAGA movement is also known for having an antagonistic relation with most mainstream and public news media, which are thought by a majority of the movement to be biased against MAGA views at best and to be lying on the behalf of the movement during and blah, blah, blah. Let's go on. We're winding down.
First term, Trump and MAGA supporters.
The Don.
Repeatedly accused major news media. What I'm going to do, that second page, we're going to skip that first paragraph. You see MAGA, and then you go to the second page, right?
Yes, sir.
That top, there are 3 big paragraphs. We're not reading the top.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to go to the second.
The hostility.
The hostility towards mainstream and public news media has resulted in a vulnerability among MAGA members to false news stories and particularly far-fetched conspiracy theories circulating by MAGA, supporting media outlets and repeated by MAGA leaders. Example includes charges that Obama is not a native-born U.S. citizen, that democratic immigration policies aim to replace white Americans with non-white. How long have they been letting in people of color? These white people are first, second, and third generation, if assuming these are white. They know the average one is no more than 3 generations. And how many Africans were here already? How many Chinese did they, what they call it, when they Shanghai? How many tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands? I don't know the count of Chinese that were kidnapped out of China when the United States was participating in first and second Opium War in China.
Opium War, money.
How many Chinese were here before many of the whites? How many Japanese were brought here before? How many Africans? So it sounds like the only people, this was a white country, and all of a sudden it was once great, but now it's not so great because you got all these non-white people here. Democrat immigration policies aim to replace white Americans with non-white immigrants. Now, let's say that's true. Who put the face, color, and religion on the person who's letting in all these non-white people? Ray, is it you run immigration here?
Yeah.
Is it you, my sister, run immigration? Who's running? Some white man in government. White people, white corporation. So if you want to stop it, you gotta go to the people who control the military and the police. These are white people. If you want to make it a racist, you Africans, only a handful of whites run all it. So if you don't want any more immigration and you don't want any more stolen election, you know what to do. Let's go to the third paragraph, the last one, and then we're going to wind down in another 15 or 20 minutes. MAGA, support for Donald Trump. Trump's presidential campaign attracted strong support among conservative white working class voters. Why? Race cards. The blacks are doing it. This one, they took your job. I didn't outsource your job. They did a survey in China saying that, so what they say, all of the white owned corporations that's in China that moved there. Will they come back to the United States of America? Under no circumstances. So those white corporations, if you want to bring, Trump said, you want to bring it back? Why don't you? They left because of the cheap labor and the markets and vast profit. They're not coming back here. They tell you that.
It's economically advantage to be with them.
So let's see, okay, conservative white working class voters. His background as a business owner, now that somebody's talking about Trump, white people like him. Despite his 5 bankruptcies, he's a good businessman. So you've been 5 times, that means you're not a good businessman. Many of your businesses don't last, or you just taking advantage of the law. When you business, you can keep everything. Oh, I'm going broke. So it's an indirect way of stealing. So you have a corporation. I'm saying he did. I'm just saying you have a corporation. 3 of them in Europe, and you keep the profits in Europe there, so you don't have to pay taxes, and then you go bankrupt. 5 times they say. So that's telling me you're not such a good businessman, or maybe you're just a good businessman, taking advantage of all the laws that allow you and other businessmen to become fabulously rich by ducking your financial responsibility and not paying taxes. But it's the blacks, it's the Muslims.
Good thief.
His background as a business owner, despite the 5 bankruptcy, recommended itself to these Americans as a sign that he understood economics, and his lack of previous government service suggested that he would not partake in the kind of corruption they're associated with Washington, D.C. How do they think he got $8 billion? I'm not saying they don't, but you know, whoever's writing this, they write what you want. Obviously, you know, you ask, how come the students can't discharge their debts? It's illegal. Because they passed the law, Congress passed the law, the banks passed the law, we're going to make hundreds of billions of dollars off these young people.
Off the loans.
Because they can't discharge it.
Exactly.
They can't get a job. You can't get a job to pay it off because you brought in $700,000.
Get a job, half your check go to pay off the loan.
Right. And then I remember Bill Gates. I think I got it right. If I didn't, I apologize. I think it was Gates. I'm not sure. I saw an interview years ago where he interviewed a number of young white men in Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
MIT.
Yeah. And he asked them, how come many of you are not going for the PhD? They say, you know why? Because, let's say it's 5 years ago, whatever. He said, because when we went to your corporation to get summer jobs, we couldn't get summer jobs because you had brought foreigners in for cheaper labor to do the work.
Those immigrants.
So in other words, you don't care about Americans.
You're not catering to
Okay. So he said, you know why? Because every breakthrough we make, it goes right into the corporation takes our invention and what we do, and they apply it, and they make billions of dollars. You don't share any of it. So that's why we're not doing it. You see, it's all of these little things, just basic things how a capitalist system runs.
Inhumane.
Well, I'm just saying this is what actually happened.
They also.
He's contended that the federal government was controlled by Democratic elites. They don't know that. The rich people, they ain't no Democrats, Republicans, including unelected civil servants acting as surreptitious deep state. MAGA members did not consider it as all controversial that Trump's a billionaire was himself a member of the country's wealthy elite. In their view, Trump's wealth simply meant that when it came to elites, he knew what it was he was talking about. Yeah, say what you have to say.
What is this part about, he contended that the federal government was controlled by Democratic elites, including unelected civil servants acting as...
Whoever's writing this, They're saying that the whole problem with the government of the United States, when it's controlled by Democrats. Rich people are not Democrats. Okay, Democrats are bad. And they elites, including unelected civil service acting. How you know which civil service? Most of the civil service people he laid off were not on, they were all, they got their job. It wasn't a political job. They got jobs.
What's the deep state?
The deep state is supposed to be those people who pull all the strings.
Oh.
You already know who pull all the strings. The corporations are the business entity that are controlled by the top 1, 2, 3 multi-billionaires, the super billionaires. Like whatever this guy's name with the cars.
Musk.
Yeah,
Musk.
Musk.
The Musk people run it. The corporations run it. Who determines domestic policy? Well, Africans are going to stay here. And when they pass the law, do red line, don't sell any property or give any advantage to black people. Who made that one up? So whoever's writing this, they're trying to say that if this is true, that people are not looking at many of the factors that why, the main thing is people don't have money. People can't buy homes. They can't live that rich economic life that white people used to live in this country from the 60s to 2000. 2 and 3 cars. The wealthy elite, so you see, we excuse him. The man had bankrupt, but he's okay. Perhaps, above all, MAGA members admitted Trump's personal style, which was notoriously belligerent and confrontational. Trump's habit of bullying his opponent with personal insults and name-calling, as well with the regular boasting, encouraged MAGA members to think of him as an ordinary person or a regular guy rather than a conventional politician. They should look at his inaugural, the last 2 pages, another 15 minutes rewinding that. You ask the question, look at who was there, who was that? 99% white, and then when he had another White House, he had everybody lined up, billion. See the masses of workers. See, the masses of white workers think this thing is about racism.
It's really about money.
One of the commentators, an older man, he's probably in the 60s. One of the commentators, he's a colonel, Douglas McGregor. He said, West Point guy, he knows some history. He said, if it's not, I apologize. He said he told his friend that the first group of people that the British brought here were Irish slaves. Oh, wait, indigenous servant, Irish slave. He said he looked surprised. Then he said they couldn't do the job, so they had to go get some black people, strong people who could do the work. Now, either guys, they don't know the history of the country. What? The Englishmen don't.
That's not true, Don. The Irish didn't come here like that.
The Irish are slaves of the English. Always been. Since the Anglo-Saxon group coming into those islands you call English, they killed down and enslaved the Ware people they call Wales, Irish, Scottish. Killing all the people.
It was the British in a minute.
With the last page. So now you get a little snapshot of MAGA from what they're saying to the public. If this is what MAGA really believes, then, when you don't deal with the history. The last page, Project 25. This is a doozy.
We ain't get to 30 yet.
Project 25, also known as the 2025 presidential transitional project. Who's the president in 2025?
The Don.
Oh, so they're saying now this is connected to Trump. Project 2025, also known as 2025 Presidential Transition Project 3, is a political initiative published in April 2023 by the Heritage Foundation. Nice, white, Anglo-Saxon think tank, one of many. This is how we should set up and let America run. This is how we want it run. And what we got to do is present it to the rich people who run Congress and stuff, and they write the law. Heritage Foundation, American conservative think tank, to reshape the federal government of the United States. Damn, you white, you black folks, you really got this place messed up. We got to restructure it. A conservative think tank to reshape the federal government of the United States and consolidate executive power. But I thought we have congressmen and senators to make the laws. Why do you want to consolidate consecutive? Executive means the president. The hell with Congress. Democrat, Republican, all that. Ain't going right to it. We'll consolidate executive power. And the only one in the executive is Trump. In favor of the right-wing politics. What is right-wing politics? Killing niggas? What? Tell me what it is. All of these farmers going bankrupt because the Chinese and the rest of them said, we're not dealing with you with these tariffs. And some of the people on the thing, black African people on this television, this video thing, said to the white farmers, when you were against black people of color getting a little relief, we loafers. Now y'all are losing everything because China ain't buying anymore. But I asked an additional question. They never mentioned the deal. Oh, I'm gonna lose my farm. I'm gonna lose the farm. What you talking about? This is 4th generation. Go back 4th generation. Go to North Carolina, South Carolina, the rest of them, and go to that the president, whoever's on one of these dollars. I forgot his name. When he pushed out pushed out all indigenous people in the North and South and Central and pushed them to the Mississippi. So you mean that, huh?
That was back in the day.
I forgot the name of the president. He's on one of the dollars. You ethnically cleansed, you killed off, they did all of that farmland you got in North Carolina, South Carolina. All of the farmland you got in the United States of America. Not one of you white people or black people can show a deed that you brought the land from the indigenous. This is family land. You 3rd generation and pay a damn dime for it. Your great-grandfather was given the land by the white government because they needed white people to work the land. I mean, they already had us locked down. There's so much land here. So, Heritage Foundation, consolidate executive power in favor of the right-wing politics. You're going to have to explain to me, are you a right-winger? I know they're not excluding me. I'm a good, hard-paying American, working all my life, and so they must include me.
That's right.
White politics. It constitutes a policy document that suggests specific changes to the federal government. When these think tanks come up with this SHIT, and they want to make a fundamental change, what do? They pick up to the phone of the billionaires who made this foundation, and they will rewrite the law. The Congress people, Senator people, state people, the city people will rewrite the law for whatever the hell they want. Okay, how many black people we want to dispossess? So you see the think tank come. Who funds a think tank? So now all of a sudden, They want to consolidate executive power in the hands of the president in the United States, and he don't run a damn thing. He done took $100 million from you know who. In favor of right-wing policies. What are right-wing policies? It constitutes a policy document that suggests specific changes to the federal government. You mean to tell me we got a government, now all of a sudden you're going to change all the rules? Federal government changes, get all rid of, okay. A personnel database, they want to get whoever is working. Is she black? Is she? They're going to do what's it. The federal government, a personnel data for recommending vetting loyal staff in the federal government. So Trump can say all that shit he wants about the loafers in here and the people not doing. Who the hell works in this society that you can now point your finger that this guy is loafing? You're a third generation white man most white men are not included. This is just a handful. Like in Robin Hood, the what you call the king and the dukes, they had everything.
Back in the day.
I remember reading about a white man years ago who dragged a black man on the back of his truck.
That was down in
Down in Texas.
That's Texas, Mr. Bird.
And they said, this is what I read, he said, if I was white, male, rich, I wouldn't be here. But he happened to be a white man that's disposable. You can't do that despicable act so overtly. Kill a damn nigga in the backyard. You can't be that obvious to it. That's all it meant. But he said, I'm white, but if I had money, I wouldn't be here. You talking think tanks here? They killed the people, these white Europeans killed hundreds of millions. I said this before, the British and the Indian scholars now are arguing, and the British said, we only killed 30 million of you in India, what is now India and Africa. The Indian people say 100 million at least.
That's sad.
In Africa, how many tens or hundreds of millions? What's the Belgian guy? He only killed 10 million of us.
Oh yeah.
Who they were killing us? But the good thing is,
genocide.
the good thing is, you got your continent and you stopped the genocide. And now they say by the year 2050, 1/3 of everybody on earth will be living in Africa.
Yeah, Africa.
Then when you add all the African people who are in Indians and stuff, we're going to make up conservatively 50, 60% of the world. Like we used to. Most of the world wasn't these people.
Ashe.
Okay? So now they want to redo the government, favor the right wing, and these people are right wing, but this is going to become policy. Is that what we got to do to hold on to the money? Is that what we got to do? It constitutes a policy document that suggests specific changes to the federal government, a personnel database for recommending vetting loyal staff. The people going to go along with the program in the federal government and set an executive order issued by the U.S. President to implement these policies. We write it up, get the president to make the executive order, and your ass is gone. That's what, when you hear what he's talking about, they're saying if this is true. Project 2025, next paragraph. The project's policy document mandate for leadership calls for the replacement of merit-based federal civil servants. If he's doing a good job, the hell with him. If he ain't white or he's somebody we want and we need these jobs, whatever's going on. Call for the replacement of merit-based federal civil service workers by people, all you people with merit, loyal to the next conservative president. They're all conservative. And for taking partisan control of key government agencies.
Including
they do this. I don't see why they write it. They do this already.
the Department of Justice.
But so it really must be bad for it is okay. Including Department of Justice,
DOJ,
the Federal Bureau of Investigation,
FBI,
the Department of Commerce,
DOC,
and the Federal Trade Commission,
FTC,
eight other agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Education, would be dismantled. Boy, they really things they must be bad, Ray Ray.
They did, they're doing
must
this,
be
they've
bad.
done that. They've done exactly this.
It calls for reducing environmental regulations. Pollute up. I mean, we to favor fossil fuels.
And propose.
Fossil fuels propose making the National Institute of Health less independent while defunding
The STEM.
its stem cell research. The blueprint seeks to reduce taxes on,
Corporation.
say,
Corporations make
but the blueprint seeks to reduce taxes on what?
Corporations.
The blueprint seeks to reduce taxes on corp. So whatever the hell is left is going to the hell with whether or not you lose your house or your kids can't read. You have been written off. White people have been written off. But they don't know the history of what they were doing to each other in Europe. The blueprint seeks to reduce taxes on you can't make this stuff up. Institute, the corporation institute a flat income tax on individuals. We're gonna get it. Whoever's working, you getting it. I don't want to hit it. Cut Medicare, Medicaid, and reverse as many of President Biden. They're blaming Biden.
Policies as possible.
Policies as possible.
They propose.
I mean, we're only reading the summation. Can you imagine what's in? We almost. Can you imagine what's in the real heavy document? This document, this document is over. I think it was 100 pages or 200 pages. If this is the summation, boy, we're in big trouble. Oh, don't worry, you're gonna vote it away. It proposes banning.
Pornography.
President, okay, proposing banning
Pornography.
pornography. You can forget that.
That ain't gonna happen.
That ain't going, that can forget. This is a decadent society. You can forget that. Removing legal protection against anti-LGBT discrimination and pornography. Removing legal protection against LGBT and ending diversity.
Equity and inclusion.
Diversity. Forget all this helping black folk. We need help. We hurting.
DEI.
Equity and inclusion, DEI programs 618, while having the DOJ prosecute anti-white racists. Ray, you better be careful. If they say you're anti-white. What are they talking about? Many of us got white blood in us. My grandmother was jet black. On my mother's side, my mother was freckled. Somebody was messing up here, someplace. And how they gonna do it? Who anti-white? When they come to chop me, they say, Dr. Lewis, we cut you out. You know what I'm gonna say? I said, look, I'm not black, Cole. I must have something. We killing everybody. Boy, these people, they must be really in big trouble. And they are. When we do the next election,
They are.
they are. The project recommends the arrest, detention, and mass deportation of illegal immigrants. How many white people here are legal? And deploying the U.S. Army for domestic law enforcement. Isn't Trump doing it? They tell Trump you're going to do it. If you don't do it, you won't have to worry when we expose the Epstein files. Because you ain't doing that, huh?
And Pizzagate.
Okay? Okay, so what is it? While having the DOJ prosecute anti-white racism, the project recommends the arrest, detention, and mass deportation of illegal immigrants. Who gonna pick the food? Who gonna work?
Who gonna pick up the garbage?
Who gonna work? Why do you think they let in so many people, Africans and all these people? Cheap labor. This country's always the corporate people. They use Irish. They didn't work. They tried the indigenous people. Said, "The hell with you! I ain't doing it." So we grabbed us. And in the Constitution of the United States, there's a clause, Section 8, where the British government said before the British government said, all slavery in the British colonies shall be banned. You hear that? All slavery in the British colonies, that meant the 13 colonies,
Shall be banned.
will be banned. Okay? Except who? Who did the British kept as slaves?
Irish.
The Indians in Pakistan. You know why? Because the farmers and them said, man, we can't deal with these revolts. Send us some slaves. That whole revolt. So they banned the African slave because you know there was revolt all over. So they were saying, we can't use African ones. We got to now use the ones we enslaved from what is now India and Pakistan.
Wasn't a passive.
Or more. They weren't raised as much hell or whatever you want to call it. That was. And then even the clause in the Constitution said that if you still do it, even though we abandoning it, if you still do it, we get $5 a head. They gotta say they don't want to talk about the history of the country because it's going to be shown that they're rapists, murderers, enslavers,
Killers, you name it, all the niggas.
stolen land, stolen people. We're winding down. White racists. The project recommends arrest, detention, and mass deportation of illegal immigrants and deploy the U.S. Army for domestic law enforcement. The plan also proposes enacting laws supported by the Christian right,
Such as
criminalizing the sending and receiving of abortion and birth control medication.
Criminalizing.
For having babies, who's having the babies?
Criminalizing sending and receiving.
Right, but who's having the
The
babies?
women.
No, who?
The women.
In this population, what's the only group of people still have a positive birth rate?
Black folks.
Right, I was one of 8. Everybody on my block in the South Bronx, everybody had 5, 6, 7, 8. Ain't nobody had no 1. I can't say what you did. Richard Pryor would say what we were doing, right?
That's right, don't
And we
say.
all figured that part out.
We was getting it on.
Okay? So this is not aimed at whites is already negative. We still, by the time you add up the rest of us black folk and the Mexicans, Chavez, this famous Mexican guy, I forget his name, he said, we're going to retake what the United States took from us. And the indigenous people in United States and Canada said they're going to retake, 300 years they're going to retake it. How they going to retake it? Having babies.
Having children.
And plus the economics are changing.
So criminalize sending and receiving. of
Okay,
abortion.
when they say react in supporting Christians, such as criminalizing the sending and receiving of abortion and birth control medication.
And eliminating coverage of emergency contraceptions.
Such as criminalizing the sending and receiving of abortion. They don't want you to have abortion and birth control.
And
They're confused because they're not the ones who are making the baby. We wind it down, maybe 3 or 4 more minutes. Project 2025. And like I said, when you look at it, about 800 pages, you think this is something. Can you imagine what's in the pages?
Wait till 30 come out.
That's a lot of pages.
Project 2025 is based on a controversial interpretation of Unitarian executive theory. What is Unitarian executive theory? I don't know what it is. Sound like one
One
executive
president theory.
control. In other words, the president control. And whoever controls the president, he's telling you the Lord don't mean a damn thing.
Soros, Bloomberg,
That's right. You hit it right on the head.
Hoffman, Jews.
Analysts note that the approach would further reduce agencies' independence. They don't want the different agencies to be able to do anything. Lock it all down under a right-wing president.
And centralized presidential control.
Further reduce agencies' dependence and centralized presidential control. It's back to the president. They want to run the country on executive order and wipe everybody out. Link, okay. Reduce agencies independent, centralized presidential control. PBS NewsHour reporting has linked the ambitions to discussion of domestic military. What does that mean? Oh, the police, because the military is going to get it. Okay. Pointing to Trump's deployment of the National Guard to Washington as a potential precedent.
The project's proponents dismantled.
Okay. The project, let me see. The project proponents say it would, who's proposing? A group of white people in there making this stuff up to make the country more like Nazi Germany. The project's proponents say it would dismantle the bureaucracy, that it is unaccountable and mostly liberal. It's Nazism. Critics have called it authoritarian, Christian nationalist plan that would steer the U.S. towards autocracy. Some legal experts say it would underline the rule of law, separation of powers, and separation of church and state, and civil liberties. Most of Project 2025 contributors work in either Trump's first administration. So you see how these think tanks make this, and after they put out different proposals, how they're going to rerun the country, they sit down and they discuss it, then they put it in law. On this campaign for 2024 president, several Trump's campaign officials maintain contact with Project 25, seeking its goals as aligned with their Agenda 47 program. Now we got to look up Agenda 47 and report on that. Trump later attempted to distance himself from the plan because he don't want to be the one, to say, but he'll take advantage of it if it came through. And he won the 2024 election. He nominated several of the plan's architects and supporters to positions in his second administration. 4 days into his second administration, analysts by Time found that nearly 2/3 of Trump's executive action mirror
or potentially mirror
or partially mirror proposals
of Project 2025.
So what's the solution?
Sounds like he's really just enacting something that had been planned years ago. He's just making it happen.
We have a constitution, they don't want to follow it. You think they're going to give you reparation?
No.
As many as people, white people unemployed?
Nope.
The next time what I'm going to do is put together, the next time I present the companies that are leaving. It's
Quite a few.
questions and answers.
Okay. We got one question from the Zoom, and anybody got a question? Zoom, they want to ask Doc? Going once? Going twice? Going 3 times? So ladies and gentlemen, it's a lot going on. The lecture will be on YouTube. You could go and study it and get your questions ready for the next lecture. A lot is going on.
That's it, right?
Whether it's the Don or whoever, you got other people pulling the strings. So I want you to give Dr. Lewis a great big hand.
Yay, Dr. Lewis.
The great Fred Munderson will probably be the next lecturer at the Mackeys. So we want to thank Dr. Lewis for running down what's happening. Whether you support the Dawn or any of these other crumbs we think that's going to do anything good, you better help yourself, as Elijah Muhammad said. Thank you. Any questions? One more time.
want to give a big hand to Dr. Lewis. Excellent presentation.
Okay? Well,
You
thank
too,
you.
Dr. Berwickman. I'm glad you mentioned that I'm up next. I'll be there. Thank you.
Okay, no matter what, the Mackeys and Mackeys to the third, we're gonna continue. We appreciate the support from the Zoom audience coming in. And you make up your own mind on what's happening. You take care of your family, no matter who you support. Like it or not, the Don is in the house, and you can't do nothing about it. Game over, and thank you, Dr. Lewis.
Yeah, Dr. Lewis.
So you get a little whip of what's coming, right?
Hey, Dr. Lewis, I got a small question for you.